I am at ZU Audio with founder and CEO of ZU Audio, Sean Casey, because 2 days ago, they just released a brand new bookshelf speaker called The Method. Sean, welcome to Hunter-Gray-LUV-Music.
Thanks, Hunter. Appreciate it.
I was fortunate enough, Sean let me borrow a pair of the Methods over the weekend. So I've been able to set them up at home, and I've listened against the KEF LS50 Metas. I've still got in-house the Buchardt P300s and also my ZU Dirty Weekend 6. So I've been able to test them just a little bit, just over, Super Bowl weekend, but not too much. But everybody wants to start with specs, and let's start with price. Tell us about the pricing on the Methods so that people can pigeonhole where these are in the market.
Yeah, so these Methods for black or white, you're looking at about $1,400 for the pair, and then there's finish options. So we do about anything you'd like, but the pair here, this Mercury burnt orange, that adds about $400 to the price, so you're about $1,800 for that. The brown adds $200. So, but yeah, sky's the limit.
It will be available in the electric blue hickory, which is my personal ZU favorite.
Those are they're pressed, so the plywood's done, and they're at the CNC shop. So all the plate is being cut out, and those are in production.
So for people who are not yet familiar with ZU Audio, you guys, in my opinion, are a high-end boutique speaker manufacturer. So much of what you buy from ZU, well, first of all, everything is bought direct from ZU, from your website online, and you ship. But you pretty much, the majority is built to order. So when you order a different wood, a different finish. I was in your shop on Friday and saw somebody had ordered a high gloss Ferrari red that was, the gloss finish on it was spectacular. There was another set of speakers that someone had ordered to match the wood of their credenza in like a reddish color. So if people aren't familiar, that's something that you guys do in addition to the beautiful sound that your speakers make, but that built to order and can be customized to that level, right?
Yeah. We're kind of in a sweet spot where we're big enough that we can have big batches and we can have time to do real R&D and a production run size of order, but we're small enough that we can, and pretty vertically integrated, so that we can squeeze in custom stuff without having insane price increase, or I mean, there is some delay. 8 weeks for most custom finishes, kind of the standard 6 to 8 weeks. On the glosses, they can also be months too. So depending on what a customer wants, we can do it, and we're the right size in our manufacturing. So that sweet spot of basically 10 people, 3 buildings, not a big, huge, massive shop that has overhead that's going to kill us all the time. Yeah, it's fun, and we can accommodate and do interesting stuff. We have our own clean room, our own paint booth, our own sanding booth, our own prototype CNC equipment. So it's even one-offs is kind of part of process for us.
So Sean, if you would pick up this speaker, I think you told me this pair are going to be going out to Steve Guttenberg.
Yeah, Steve Guttenberg, right? Guttenberg is getting these. They're shipping out today over to Steve, and he wanted something that looked good in the in film, right? Or in video. So this is our Mercury finish, but
looks amazing.
Yeah, burnt orange candy underlay. So this finish is something that we do not every day, but every week, and any candy hue you want. So it can be a red or green or whatever, and that's about a $400 per pair surcharge for that kind of Mercury with candy underlay.
I hope it's coming through on the camera. Often stuff doesn't look as good on camera as it does in real life, but this is beautiful. And as you all know, I use too many car metaphors. I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
But this clearly reminds me of really high-end paint jobs like on an Aston Martin where it has a depth to it, and it doesn't, from a distance, it doesn't look like it's sort of a metal flake, but then you get up to it and it's like, oh, it has just a depth to it. It's just beautiful. And that burnt orange,
Yeah.
Steve, you're very lucky. These are gorgeous.
Yeah. And so on, you know, a lot of the finishes we can do straight, like if you have an Aston Martin and you have the paint code, we can exactly match whatever. So we work with automotive materials. This particular finish has both combination of, well, it uses conversion varnish as well as materials out of the car world. So we do use a metal flake, an aluminum metal flake in this, but we also use like the PPG metal dyes to get that candy look that'll also last a lifetime, because car materials are designed to withstand the direct sun day in, day out. So
well, and I want to circle back real quick and then we'll move on from
Sure.
the beautiful finishes.
Yeah.
You mentioned the base, $13.98 for a pair. I know you sell them individually, so that if someone wants a center channel speaker for your Soul 6s or your DW6s, or if you want 3 of them for a center channel and some surround speakers, they're sold individually. But for a pair, $13.98. But you said black and white. I want to point out that's black satin and white satin. I'm one of these people that I don't like. Gloss looks beautiful, but the dust and the fingerprints just make it not worth the headache for me.
Yeah.
And the black satin, that's what my ZU Dirty Weekend 6s are at home. And there's no maintenance, beautiful.
Right on.
And the black or the white satin, if cost is the primary factor, $1,400 for these speakers, I think, is a really great value prop. But the thought that for less than $2,000, you can have this kind of a speaker with something that's just a statement piece in a listening room or living room, I think to me, that's a significant value add, because aesthetics are really important to me.
Right. Nice.
So let's talk about specs. Everyone, now that we know the price, go through some of the specs, because that helps people sort of have a frame of reference on where in the marketplace is the Method bookshelf speaker falling.
Right. So if being that you're familiar with ZU, one of the things that I think is important is efficiency. You want high power acoustic power out for not a lot of power in, and we've struggled. So, you know, the DW6 is something we launched a couple of years ago, which is it a floor stand or is it a bookshelf? What
tweener.
Is this? Yeah,
it's
right.
Tweener.
It's a whatever you want, but it's big, and that was the smallest thing we had made that's a full range platform. Like it can do down to the kick drum. We've tried other things in the past. There was another speaker that we made that wasn't not the Method small, but it was the Druid Credenza, but it was very much low frequency limited. It required a sub. With the Method bookshelf, we didn't want it to have a sub, but we still wanted big dynamic range. We wanted high efficiency. So that's kind of where we start. And on a high efficiency, it's a little bit of a cloudy. Efficiency really would incorporate the entirety of the sound field, and it would be an aggregate spec. It can be confusing, you know, like and we can get into this. We talked about this over at the dinner table, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if this is 94 dB, 1 watt, 1 meter, and 1 watt, since it's an 8 ohm speaker, means 2.8 volts in. So, you know, most of our speakers that we've done have been higher impedance, which is how much demand or how much load it puts on the amplifier. These are 8 ohm. They're right in the sweet spot for most of the amps that have been designed in the last 80 years. So you can put on about any amp. 5 watts is probably enough for most people, but I'm in the owner's manual that's not quite done, but close. It's 20 watts is my recommended. If you got 20 watts, you can boogie with the speaker. So 94 dB efficient. What does that really mean? Well, I don't know that there's another bookshelf that will play as loudly with as much control as the Method bookshelf with 1 watt or with 10 watts or with 20 watts. It's got shove, it's snappy, it's detailed. The sound field it creates is pretty wide. It's more than a full couch width wide, so that's one of the reasons why you can, like if you have a really big room, like we're sitting in a pretty big room, it'll throw a very nice spray pattern. And being that it's coaxial, it's got good interplay with the room. So if your room sounds good, the method's going to help it. It's going to work well together. And if you're using it as a center channel, it also, because of that nice spread, big polar response, everybody in the room is going to have a nice locked-in center channel image. So it's versatile. It's a versatile speaker.
If I could add some color to what
Please.
you were just saying from my weekend's experience in playing with the method. So I think I'm correct that the Dirty Weekend 6 are 95 dB stated efficiency. These are 94 dB, but the Dirty Weekend 6 are 12 ohm. Is that right?
12 ohm.
So as someone who gets a lot of speakers and amps through my listening spaces, and I see a lot of the specs, what we actually hear and experience, to me, varies greatly from what the specs. So for instance, when I was A/B flipping back between the methods, 8 ohm, 94 dB, and the Dirty Weekend 6, 95 dB, and at 12 ohm, I didn't have to, they weren't perfectly volume matched, but it was
pretty close.
Very close.
Yeah.
I wasn't messing with the volume to try and level match. And that surprised me initially, but anyhow, that wasn't what was important. These are very efficient.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So 12 ohm versus 8 ohm. If your amplifier is designed for good power transfer into 8 ohm, and then you put 12 ohm on it, it's compromised by roughly 50%, which is only a dB and a half, so 1.5 dB in sound pressure level differential, and then you have a 1 dB differential in average response characteristics. So half a dB, can you hear it? Well, yeah, there's some recording engineers and there's some golden ears that can hear a half a dB different, but it's essentially the same. What you heard is...
And to clarify, they were being both, when I was A/B flipping, being powered by my XTZ Edge Class D, 300 watt into 4 ohm, 150 into 8 ohm. So the ohms were changing, but quite a bit of clean, clear Class D power without bringing anything else really to the party. Just listen to the speakers.
Yeah.
But then I also flipped over to my SMSL VMV A1 Class A amp, which is 10 watts into 8 ohms. And played both. That 10 watts drove these easily, beautifully. Yeah. It was like, I'm a Class A. I like tubes. I like Class A, but it had plenty of power. The other thing I wanted to say, you were talking about the dispersion pattern, because this is a coaxial design with a bass reflex board on the front, and setup. I put these on, I just pulled the Buchardt P300s off of the stands, put them on the floor, put this on, and I didn't have to mess with angle or to get a beautiful dispersion and center image. There was basically no setup. Sometimes you can be sitting here up and down from your sitting position, tweaking, trying to maximize the sound stage or focus the center image. I didn't have to do any of that with these.
This is pretty friendly. The driver, the way the cone behaves, it's a pretty forgiving package, more so than the DW6. And I don't know if that reflects your experience, but it should probably be a little easier than the DW6.
Being up on the stands, my DW6, I have your footers that are adjustable, and I've got them raked back a little bit, which helped. For me, I liked more than really, I didn't have any problem with positioning and angling.
DW6 aren't necessarily tricky.
No.
But these are even
the downward
less.
fire, very simple.
Yeah.
So let's continue with the specs. So you were getting into some, but I jumped into the coaxial.